Hello everybody out there in YouTube land! So today we're gonna be doing a very special video. I am doing a collaboration with another YouTube channel. It is called Strike Raid Union, and he's a cool guy. He does comic book reviews and other nerdy stuff like Star Wars and all that. But in any case, he is going to be doing the visuals for this video, and I am going to be doing the audio for part of it. So the link to his channel is down in the description box. So what we decided to do is the top 10 new DC titles that we want to see published today. So right now, Rebirth is going, and that's pretty cool. There actually aren't that many titles if you look at it. I looked at the current DC titles that are in publication, and it's not that many. So that was his idea, to do the top 10 that we would like to see being published, so that aren't currently being published. So we each get to pick 5, and so this is my 5. First off, I would like to see Star Spangled War Stories. Star Spangled War Stories was a comic book series that featured war-themed characters and stories. Most of these stories centered around the events of World War II, and this series, I guess it replaced Star Spangled Comics, which ended at issue 130. Now, this is kind of, I think it ran in the 70s, so it was definitely from before my time, but I see these covers. It had some really crazy covers, like it's centered around World War II, but the covers you see are of World War II soldiers fighting dinosaurs and stuff. So that sounds pretty cool. That's right up my alley. When I was a little boy, that's probably 50% of what I did was have my army men fight little dinosaurs. So I don't know why they don't publish that, right? I'm pretty sure that little boys would buy that comic. So that's number 5. Number 4 is Weird Western Tales. Now, a lot of you are probably familiar with Weird Western Tales. It's a Western genre comic book that ran from 1972 to 1980, originally, the first run. And it's best known for featuring the adventures of Jonah Hex, who was in it until issue 38, and then the character was promoted to his own series. And another character named Scalp Hunter took Hex's place as the featured character in Weird Western Tales. The original title ran for 8 years and had 59 issues, so that's pretty cool. It also had a later run. Weird Western Tales was revived in 2001, and it was a 4-issue limited series, so the miniseries had no relation to the earlier title. And then it had a one-shot series featuring the original numbering, I never knew that, of number 71, and that was in the Blackest Night event. So I've actually read that comic, the Weird Western Tales number 71. I've read all of Blackest Night, but I've read most of the tie-ins to Blackest Night, and that's actually where I first came across Weird Western Tales, aside from, knowing about Jonah Hex. So the cover on that's really great, and if you've read Blackest Night and haven't read that tie-in, I really recommend it. So number 3, Swamp Thing. Why is there no Swamp Thing title? We just had the Justice League Dark animated movie. Swamp Thing's been around for a while, and he's always, he first appeared in House of Secrets number 92, and that was in 1971, and he's been in the comics quite frequently since then. Even in the New 52, there were Swamp Thing comics. So if I was DC, I would capitalize off of Hellblazer, and they did do the Batman Swamp Thing. Well, Swamp Thing showed up in Detective Comics, right, and teamed up with Batman in the Rebirth. So maybe DC is looking at that. I would definitely recommend DC gets a Swamp Thing Rebirth solo series going. Alright, so it's the top 2 choices now. My number 2 choice is for All-Star Squadron. The All-Star Squadron is a DC Comics superhero team that debuted in Justice League 193 in 1981, and let's see, it was created by Roy Thomas, Rich Buckler, and Jerry Ordway. The series was published for 67 issues, and it ran from 1981 to 1987. Oh, and it had 3 annuals published. The story on this is, on the day of the bombing of Pearl Harbor, President Franklin Roosevelt gathers all of the available superheroes, including members of the Justice Society of America, the Freedom Fighters and the 7 Soldiers of Victory as solo heroes at the White House, and he asks them to band together as the All-Star Squadron. So the All-Star Squadron is basically a super group. You know, you think of, I don't know, like in music you have a super group, right? Where every member of the band has been in a band before. Well, now you have the All-Star Squadron, which is a super group of superheroes. I mean, you got the JSA, the Freedom Fighters, and the 7 Soldiers of Victory. And both the Freedom Fighters and 7 Soldiers of Victory were things I considered for my top 5, but then I was like, nah, I'll just go with the All-Star Squadron, then I can have it all. So that's pretty cool. And anyways, he asked them to band together to protect the United States from sabotage, battle, and to keep the peace on the home front. So, okay, number 1, my top choice for what needs to be published currently in Rebirth is JSA. You know, there's no Justice Society of America comic, and online I've seen people asking why there is no JSA comic. You know, it's not just the superhero team, it's the first superhero team to appear in American comic books. Yeah, the first team from 1940. So the JSA is a big deal, and it's been published basically throughout all of DC's history. It's the original superhero team. So I think a Rebirth JSA run would do really well. I'm kind of surprised there isn't one. It's been around for quite some time. It was on All-Star Comics originally, and then it went to DC, so that's really cool. Alright, I'm gonna hand it over to Strike Grade Union.
Okay, so first I just want to say thank you for having me on your channel. This is an awesome list that we're going through. Your entries were pretty cool, very different to what I was expecting, but that's the whole point. So without further ado, let's move on to my top 5 DC new comics that need to be printed. Alright, so first we're going to have Martian Manhunter. Now he needs his own Rebirth title. How does he not have his own title is just beyond me. I mean, he's a fairly popular character, maybe not so much over recent years because he hasn't had a whole lot of exposure in games, animated movies, DCEU for example, but it's Martian Manhunter. He's an original member of the Justice League, and as far as I can recall, he has not even been mentioned at all in Rebirth, so that needs to be fixed ASAP. Martian Manhunter needs his own ongoing title. Alright, now next on my list is something a little bit different. I think we need a Deathstroke and Ravager Rose Wilson story going on. Maybe this would work better as a 6-issue miniseries or a 9-issue miniseries. Or maybe even like a 4-book miniseries, kind of like how they done Supergirl being super. You could even make this an Elseworld story. But what we need is Deathstroke and Ravager together. That would just be spectacular to see on the page together. And I think the sales would do very well, especially with the high possibility of Deathstroke being in the Batman movie coming out. Who knows when that's coming out. But that's beside the point. This needs to happen. Deathstroke and Ravager could make for some very interesting reading. Especially if Ravager is Rose Wilson, as I said, because the history between these two is pretty intense. I mean, they got some father-daughter issues to work through, and that could play a big part with the ongoing story. And the fight scenes would be insane. We have them fighting each other, which would be pretty cool to see, and we could have them fighting others, which would be even better to see. So Deathstroke Ravager needs to happen. Another new title that I'd really like to see is a Batgirl and Supergirl team up. So I think World's Finest, except swap it out with the girls, because that would be pretty cool to see. I've mentioned this in a few videos on my channel before, but the way the relationship works with Batman and Superman is they are really good friends, but they clash a lot, as opposed to Batgirl and Supergirl, who are just generally nice to each other, and they have these pretty cool adventures together, and we get to see the smartness of Batgirl with the strength of Supergirl. They just work together so well. And when they appear in each other's ongoing series, it's always some of the best issues in my opinion. So we could have these two, you know, they've had enough of Batman and Superman's crap and they just want to get the job done, and that's what they're out to do. They work together, they could cross over with the Birds of Prey. You know, Batgirl could bring Supergirl in to help them out with a particular mission that, you know, needs a bigger heavy hitter, hence Supergirl comes in. Now, maybe with my last entry, this might work better as a miniseries, but I could see this going for like a in-continuity Rebirth title that would be pretty sweet to see. Next on my list is something that hasn't been done for a while and I think could be really interesting to do now in today's society. And we need a GCPD comic, a Gotham City Police Department. So it pretty much speaks for itself. It's supposed to be one of the worst cities in the world. So imagine just your beat cop walking down the street and then all of a sudden Two-Face is robbing a bank. It doesn't have to be someone with the level that Two-Face is on, but you know what I mean. It could just be more street crimes that's happening. We're following the corruption in the police department. We could focus on a few cops that work together, all under the command of Commissioner Gordon, of course. You could have Batman appear from time to time, other members of the Bat family. You get to see people's different perspectives on him. Maybe one cop doesn't like Batman, one does, you know. It could all just blend together so well. We could come up with some real interesting stories. And this could make for a really good mystery series type thing where they have to solve a crime as well as it being action-packed with hostage situations and bank robberies like I said before. But yes, a GCPD Gotham City Police Department comic is something that needs to be printed by DC yesterday. So the last one for me is something that I've actually been asking for a while, ever since Rebirth started. What we need is a Gotham City Sirens ongoing monthly series. And now my main reason for this would be in a sense to kind of fix what they've done to Harley Quinn in the last few years. Ever since New 52, she's become more of an anti-hero, which people seem to like and some people not so much. I'm one of the not so much. I still read her ongoing monthly series, I find it fun, but I prefer my Harley Quinn to be a more straight up villain. So with Gotham City Sirens, what you could do is you could take her, put her back in Gotham City with Catwoman and Poison Ivy, her two best friends apart from Power Girl, and that's something that really shouldn't be mentioned in this. But you got them back in Gotham City, being the Gotham City Sirens, committing crimes, stacking money, all that good stuff. They can run up against Batman, they can even go against other Batman rogues, and it'll just be real cool to see. Gotham City Sirens, Rebirth, please, this needs to happen. But yes, anyway guys, that's all for this video. We've just listed our top 10 DC new comics we want to see printed on the ASAP. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Let us know what titles you want to see DC print now. Make sure you go check out my channel, I'd like to see you all there. The link to that is in the description down below. So have a great day everyone, and from Strike Raid Union and DC Fans United, we're going to catch you all in the next video.